What's up, everybody? Doing this Crow live. This is the OG Broncnut 719 West. Here for my Crow video, the Houston Texans. I'm gonna wait for a few minutes, let a couple people join the stream. If y'all want to discuss what happened, discuss what you think we should do moving forward with Vance and personnel, anything, definitely want to do that tonight. Disappointing day today for the Broncos, falling to 3-6, and really just another game that we felt we could have won and choked it away right there at the end, and made a bunch of bad decisions coaching wise, just not to give the Broncos a chance. I want to start off by congratulating all of the Houston Texans fans, the coaches, the players. Especially shout out to 87 DT. Had a nice little start to the game. I think the first 3 times he touched the ball, he moved the sticks for first downs. Man, a tough game for the Broncos because, just another one where, we play well, we scrappy, we fight, and tough guys, and right to the end, and then, we don't make the kick. And look, 51 and 55 and 62-yard field goals. I mean, there are low percentage kicks in the NFL. But, I think that the reason why the Broncos lost this game today has to be put squarely on Vance Joseph and the coaching staff. One, we're throwing a challenge flag where Vance doesn't even know the damn rules. I knew the second he threw the flag, we were going to lose the challenge. We had a little bit more time to make that decision. I thought he was too quick with the red flag. And so we lost that, which burned a timeout. Now we only have 2 timeouts going into the final part of the 2-minute warning before halftime when we actually need the dang timeouts. Then we get a long field goal opportunity where we should have punted. I mean, we're at home. We got our crowd behind us. And you don't want to give them a short field to go down and kick a field goal and get some cheap ones against you right before halftime, which is exactly what they did. And I just think that's a bad coaching move by Vance and our whole coaching staff. We didn't use the timeouts very well. And then, when we did use the timeout, when we tried to ice their kicker, they actually missed the field goal. We call the timeout, and then he makes the field goal. And all of that's squarely on Vance, and this should have never came down to a last-second kick. But it is because our coaching staff continues to make amateur mistakes. You're right there, David. Our coaching staff is very amateur. Vance looks like he's in way over his head. He's terrible. I knew Lindsey was going to have some trouble today. That's a good front four in Houston. And I think that you can see that Lindsey's an exciting player. I mean, that's one tough son of a bitch Lindsey is, and he's quickly becoming my favorite Denver Bronco because not only does he run the rock really hard for us, he gets up talking trash looking for more contact after the play's over, and you just got to like the toughness of that kid in the back. I mean, he was that way in high school and here at CU too. So, I just don't think that his stats so far are a true reflection of his ability, because 2 of those games are against Kansas City, and Kansas City's run defense is atrocious. It's going to bite them in the ass later in the year, and I think Phillip got to put up some bigger numbers because he played against that defense twice already in the 9 games that we've played. I thought Case played again. If I had to give him a grade, probably just another B+. He definitely played good enough to win in the first quarter. He's making plenty of nice throws, and none of his playmakers are making any plays. We dropped a couple passes that were uncontested for first downs. Booker fumbled a ball deep in their own territory, in our own territory, and, turned out to be an easy score for Houston. So, too many mistakes once again is costing the Broncos just horribly, and it's just hard to watch. It's hard to watch our coaching staff make the mistakes our offensive line make the mistakes, because you can see that this team has a little talent. We have the ability to beat people, and we're fighting right there till the end. I mean, great job, shout out to the defense. I think they didn't even allow a 3rd down conversion in the second half. Saw Bradley Chubb come on really strong and show again why he was a top 5 pick. Should have maybe even been the number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, I think he's that dominant. If he's not at double-digit sacks yet, I think he's going to be there pretty soon. I thought the officiating in the game was pretty fair and square. The only call that I really thought that was really bad was the one the personal foul that Tyrann Mathieu got right there before the halftime on that hit on Emmanuel Sanders. I thought that was a bad call. That actually gave the Broncos an opportunity to get into position to miss that 62-yard field goal. So it come back to bite us anyway. I mean, it's the first time really somehow you got a penalty, but it worked against you. I don't know how to explain it. But we definitely should have punted. You just don't make mistakes like that in the first half to take yourself out of the game or possibly cost you at the end of the game. Every little point matters in the NFL for wins and losses. Sad to see our center, Matt Paredes, go down. I think he's got a lower, what do you call it, the fibula, I think a fracture. I thought it was a high ankle sprain at first, but that's going to end his season. And I mean, what a warrior on our offensive line, the anchor, the captain of our offensive line with over, I think, 3,500 consecutive snaps. I mean, that's pretty impressive in the NFL just to stay healthy that long. I think, defensively we played well enough to win the game. I think Chubb's making a big push for Rookie of the Year, at least Defensive Rookie of the Year. Once again, Bowles gets a holding call. We've got 4 or 5 of them in the second half along our front line. And I said that in the pregame video that I thought that this front four between Clowney and Watt and Merciless was really going to expose our offensive line and really show just how bad they are. And I think they did that today. Now, I can't get on Bowles too bad because that's a formidable offensive line. And to have one holding call in the game, I think that's all he had. I think it's doable against that kind of a line, but man, just absolutely terrible. Hey, Steven Rose, good to see you, man. Congratulations to your team, dude. I think you guys got a good team. I said before the game that I thought that the Chiefs were an easier team for us to beat than the Houston Texans, but I believe the Chiefs are better than the Houston Texans, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think the Broncos match up good with the Chiefs, and I don't think we match up well with the Texans because the Texans did exactly to us what I thought they would do, which is expose our offensive line into being really an average to below average offensive line in the NFL, and that's just not going to cut it. Sutton, man, the emergence of Sutton, with him in the lineup, it doesn't even feel like Demaryius is gone. I mean, I didn't feel like our offense was missing anything. It's nice to see him getting more touches, and it sure would have been nice if he could have come down with that big catch. That was a long bomb. Good throw by Case. Case had a good throw there, a lot of good throws, but he also, overthrew Emmanuel Sanders and underthrew Tim Patrick, and we had a real low throw to Hireman that Hireman picked off the grass and ran for a first down. So Case is still not there for me yet, and I don't think that, any type of pressure that comes, he can't get out of the pocket and extend the play. But, that's just what you get with Case Keenum. I think we can win with Case. I don't think Case has had his coming out game and has played as well as he's going to play yet. But, look, we're 9 games into the season, and we still haven't seen his best football. We haven't seen him play one time yet this year as good as he played last year. So, man, just real tough day for the Broncos. That was a kick we needed to hit, but I think that, if we don't do something dumb and try a 62-yard field goal right before half, you try those types of field goals, those long ones, when there's absolutely no time on the clock or 1 or 2 seconds. You can't do it where an offensive team, when they get the ball, has a chance to run 2 or 3 plays with a couple of timeouts. We gave him 3 points for free. And in the post-game press conference, Vance says we need to learn how to finish. No, Vance, you need to learn how to coach. You need to learn how to coach. You're in over your head. And I hope Vance Johnson gets fired tomorrow morning, but I don't think Vance Joseph. I don't know why I would say Johnson, but I hope he gets fired tomorrow morning because he's not the long-term solution here. And so I'm more of a, look, let's rip the Band-Aid off and let the healing process start and get him out of our locker room and any type of influence that he has over our football team, because what he's doing is not, it's not a good job of coaching this team. We've seen what good, look, we've been to the Super Bowl with 4 different coaches. We know what good coaching looks like. And this team is not very well coached right now. We are just very undisciplined and still making too many pre-snap penalties. And that ended the Broncos season today. And so now all we have left to play for is pride, maybe a spoiler where we can keep the Chargers out of the playoffs, although I don't think so. I predicted the Chargers to win the AFC West at the beginning of the season, and I'm not so sure that they're still not gonna. But I don't see the Broncos winning more than 5, 6, 7 games this year, and I think it's going to be a stretch to try to win 7. We do have some winnable games left on the schedule, but we also have some L's that we're still going to take, and we're just not there as a football team. The good news is we got talent, we're young, we got some rookies, And I think that in the future we can get a little bit better. Um, Denver doesn't have any identity. I would agree with you on that. And I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. The comments flip through there pretty fast and they go away. But I agree that we don't really have an identity. One week we look like we might be able to run the ball. The next week we're throwing bombs down the field. I think I saw a stat on TV today that Case is like second or third in the league or fourth in the league in pass plays over 20 yards. So he's definitely not afraid to throw the ball down the field. But man, I just think that we got too many missing pieces right now to be a competitive football team. But I do think that we have a good enough team to beat anybody on any given Sunday in the NFL if we play well and play together. But that hasn't happened very much at all this year. What else, man? It was nice to see Sua Cravens back in the game, although I don't really think he gave us much of a lift. But always nice to get and Veldir back at right tackle because we were really hurting there on pass protection. But man, it's just it's a tough year to be a Broncos fan. It's tough last year, and obviously the free agency changes and the moves that we have made haven't really worked out too well for us. But look, you can't stay on top forever. I mean, it comes down to money and business, and players want to play here and coach here, and it's just everything's got to come together to get a championship season. We're going to rise again. We'll be back on top. But that's a good football team that we played today. I said in the pregame that I thought that, take away Houston's 3 losses, and still to this day, when you look at their schedule, if I'm a Houston Texans fan, there's nobody on that schedule, including the Denver Broncos, that I'm proud of that we beat, saying, hey, we really got something here. But I think that team's going to get better as it goes because they can run the football. I mean, they do a pretty good job running the football, and now they've got 2 good wideouts. They got a quarterback that can get outside the pocket, which solves and hides a lot of the problems that Houston has along the offensive line because that's where they're weak. You've seen us be able to get pressure on Watson all day, but he just got out of the pocket, extended the plays, and he really hurt us with his legs a couple of times. And big ups to Watson. I think he had a pierced lung or something before this game. So to come out and play like that, man, looks big ups to Watson. I thought that Demarius, I mean, it's weird to see him wearing an 87 jersey on the other sideline, but I really think Demarius is going to help out the Texans. And good for the Texans and good for Demarius. I mean, he just needed, maybe this just gives him a new start to finish out the end of his career. You've seen today that he was really careful not to drop any balls. Wanted to put out a good show for the old home crowd here, and I think he did. And we gave him a nice little sell-off, put a big poster of him out in front of the stadium that said, thank you, DT. And that's a really class thing to do by the Broncos and John Elway and the organization and the fans. And I'm sure DT really appreciated that. I think that, we still don't do a real good job of covering tight ends. And today you saw us go to 2 tight end sets, which, brought in a couple extra blockers, and that was working for a little bit there in the first half because it's tough to run against their front 4. I mean, Clowney's a hell of an athlete. Merciless is, I mean, we couldn't block him on the edge all day long. I can't remember our other tight end was trying to block him and just couldn't get the job done. Case has very little time to throw in the pocket, and he has no escapability. So if the play breaks down, really our drives break down. But I thought Case played well enough to win. He definitely threw some nice passes today. I liked his competitiveness, his fight. But, again, just not good enough. And if it's not one player one week, it's another player another week. I mean, talking paid athletes making millions of dollars, and they're choking and not getting this done. Yeah, Cano, Booker's fumble really hurt, man. It really did. And, it looked like, last week Booker had a nice game, and he started off this one okay. And then old Devontae Booker came back. His rookie season, we saw him drop the ball on the carpet a lot. And to drop it there in our own end zone, I think they got the ball, just outside the red zone. They scored just a few plays later. That play that Justin Simmons kind of played that soft coverage. So, man, just really disappointing to see us stub our toe time after time and time again. But the reality is that this shouldn't have come down to a last-second kick because Vance he makes too many bad coaching decisions. And every little point, every yard, every inch in the NFL counts. Every snap, a snap on an extra point, a snap on a punt. You see an extra point almost cost Houston the game today. So every play is a big play in the NFL, and you can't take a play off, and you can't make mistakes on plays, and you can't make coaching decision errors. I mean, Vance throwing the challenge flag on that pass reception in the first half right before halftime, I knew as soon as he threw it we were going to lose that. I knew we were going to lose it, and we had more time for him to review that, or his coaching staff upstairs to review it a few times, and we didn't review it. So now we lost one of the timeouts that we were actually going to need to try to get on the board before halftime. And I thought the play calling was a little conservative in the second half. I thought that running Phillip Lindsay on third down right there on that final drive, instead of trying to pick up 5 or 6 more yards just to get that field goal a little bit closer and get a little bit higher percentage, was a mistake by the Broncos coaching staff. And I just think that, why are we playing conservative? I mean, what are we protecting? A freaking 3-5 record? Let's be aggressive one time and see what happens. I mean, Vance is coaching not to lose his job, and I hope he gets fired in the morning, but I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna be here till the end of the year. I've got a couple theories on that. I'm gonna share them with you during the bye week next week. But I think that Vance just, man, he's in way over his head, and I just don't think this team really believes in what he was doing. This game was a close game. I knew it was going to be close. I think the two teams are similar, but I think Houston's much more balanced, much more disciplined, well coached, got a quarterback that can move around a little bit, and they can run the ball in the fourth quarter. And when you can do all of those things, you got a recipe to beat a lot of teams in the NFL. I think for me as a Broncos fan, the most thing that I have to really be proud about or look forward to or be optimistic about is just the development of Bradley Chubb into turning into just an absolutely dominant edge rusher. I don't know if he's got double-digit sacks yet, but I'm pretty sure he's right at 9 or 10. And he had a lot of disruption back there today. And Vaughn played well, and I thought defensively we did enough to win the game. And I thought at quarterback play we did enough to win the game. We just didn't get our playmakers, and we had a hard time getting Lindsay going till late in the game. And give credit to Houston's defense for that, because the teams that Lindsay's played against have pretty porous run defenses, and he's been able to put up some big numbers. I'm not taking anything away from the kid, because I think he's one heck of a talent, and I'm thankful that he's on our team. But I think those numbers were a little bit skewed because Houston's front four is pretty formidable. I see a lot of people typing comments in there about Vance and what we should do. And, I said it just a minute ago, and I'll say it again, that I don't think he's the coach of the future. And I'd really like him fired. I don't really know who I want to be the head coach. I mean, I kind of like the guy at Washington University. I kind of like the offensive coordinator at Atlanta. I kind of try to get Harbaugh from Michigan. But we need a real legitimate head coach with head coaching experience that brings instantaneous credibility and respect into our organization, that will instill some discipline and hold some players accountable in our organization, because we're playing sloppy football right now, and that's contributing to the losses. I mean, we could have had a couple more wins. We also could have had a couple more losses. Yeah, if he would have called a timeout, Steven, right there before the second half. I mean, it's kind of like a golfer. Like if you show up to the golf course, you don't want to say, you get out of your car and they're like, Bronknuts, you're on the tee box. Wait a minute, let me take a couple practice swings. Let me hit a friggin' bucket of balls. We rushed out there to kick a 62-yard field goal in cold weather on a windy day in Mile High. It's a low probability kick. It's almost an NFL record. So when you're playing at home and it's the first half and you got the second half and the crowd behind you, just punt that sucker. They don't get the 3 points, and I felt like we'd have won the game. Well, we would have won the game had that been the decision that we made. I mean, who knows for sure, because all kinds of different decisions get made. But officiating in the game, I thought the officiating was pretty decent. There was definitely a couple of bad calls. I thought the worst call of the game actually was the personal foul that Tyrone Matthews got on him for his hit, which they said was leading with the helmet on Emmanuel Sanders, that actually led to 15 yards for us even being in position to kick that 62-yard kick. So, and imagine that. We get somehow a penalty that works against us, but we won the penalty. But if we don't get that penalty, we never kick that ball. We punt it, time runs out, and we probably win a game. So, in hindsight, it was a great penalty for Houston because of the way things played out. But I thought that was a bad penalty, and I think the refs ruined the game. That was a clean hit on Manny. I mean, it was a big hit, and both of them got up okay from it, and they're both hell of competitors. But man, Urban Meyer, you like him? I don't know, man. Urban Meyer to me is. I don't know. I'm not going to say he's a bad coach, but I think that he's a product of some good players. And I don't know if he's one of the elite coaches in college football right now. I mean, I think I'd rather have the guy at Stanford, maybe even Dabu Sweeney if we could get him away from Clemson. There's a lot of coaches that are going to be out there, and the coaching carousel will always start late in the year. But I think Vance is on the hot seat, and he's got to be out of here. If I was Elway, I'd fire him tomorrow morning. I'd have fired him before he left the locker room. He's not good enough to win here. He just isn't, and he looks like he's in over his head. So Broncos go on a bye week. We got a lot to think about. Now 3-6. Their playoffs are out of contention. So the only thing we can do now is play for some pride. Just have a little pride and go out and compete. We still got the Chargers a couple times left in our division. Still got the the limping along Raiders the last game of the year, I think, or the second to last game of the year. So, there's some games that we can win there. Cleveland's got to come here. But, we're definitely not going to be in contention for anything this year other than a draft pick at the end of the year. Anybody, thanks for you guys joining the stream, man. I really appreciate it when you guys show up. I'm sorry this one came on a little late. I was wrapped up in some FanDuel. I had some nice stuff working for that last game between New England and Green Bay, so I was kind of paying attention to that and just wanted to make this Crow video after the game was over. The Raiders are a joke. Yeah, the Raiders are having some struggles right now for sure, and what's really disappointing if I'm a Raiders fan is that, that team's got some talent on it. It's not like they don't have any talent. They got some talent, and they can't win, and not only can they not win, they're getting blown out by bad teams. They're getting blown out, getting embarrassed. So, I would have to say the Raiders are the worst team in football right now, but I can't imagine how it's that bad. They got a pretty good quarterback. They got a couple of decent wideouts. They got a running back. At the beginning of the year, all we heard was how good their offensive line was. Got a couple of nice draft picks along the D-line. And, the Raiders just can't get out of their own way, and they piss down their leg every single Sunday. Well, this week they played earlier, but they just they left it make it easy for the Broncos not to finish in the basement this year, that's for sure. Chargers, the Chargers look pretty good, I gotta say. I've always been a I don't want to say fan, but I've admired Phillip Rivers. I like his competitiveness, his toughness, and his the way he improvises on the field and just figures out a way to will his team to win. And I think the Chargers are going to give some people a hard time in the playoffs because, again, they've got a running game. They can stop the run. If they ever get Bosa back, they could really do something nice. There was speculation that maybe they'd sign Melvin Ingram after he got cut from the Raiders, but not Melvin Ingram, Bruce Irvin. That the Raiders cut Irvin and maybe that he'd go to San Diego, but I don't know if he's signed anywhere right now. He's kind of at the tail end of his career, and he's kind of a locker room and sideline cancer right now too. So I don't know if there's a lot of people interested. Got to get to sleep, Undertaker. Dashy. Athletic Dashy in the house. What do you guys think about Case as our quarterback for next year? Because I really think that he's going to be the quarterback here for next year. Just from a business standpoint, like I've said before, we give him 2 years, 36 with 25 guaranteed, so he's got most of the money. And the good year for quarterbacks is going to be in 2020 and not this coming draft. So, all signs right now point to Case probably being the quarterback of the Denver Broncos for next season. And I'm not saying that the Broncos won't draft somebody. It's just all going to depend on how players fall and where we pick in the draft. But, I really think we can win with Case. I really do. But I don't think we can win a championship with him. But I think we can, we can compete and win in the West with Case. But you want Greer, huh? To me, Greer's just not the quarterback. I mean, I'd rather have Tua. I like Daniel Jones at Duke. Locke played okay the other night. Michigan's quarterback's pretty good. Auburn's quarterback's pretty good. Don't sleep on OU's quarterback. I mean, that kid is fast, electric, a playmaker. I mean, he's a little undersized, but I mean, there's a lot of guys around his size in the NFL still doing it and doing it well. He reminds you a lot of Russell Wilson, except he's faster and more elusive, which, who knows if he'll be able to get away with that in the big leagues up here, but he sure looks nice for OU. I think that, we still need a big middle linebacker. We need somebody dominant in the middle. Hopefully, that role is going to be filled by A.J. Johnson later in the year. You still haven't seen him much in the game, but hopefully that guy can find his way to the field, especially with Brandon Marshall being hurt a little bit. Josie Jewell had a nice game today, got taken out for concussion protocol, or maybe got dinged up a little bit. But, I mean, you got to like the way that guy is playing. I think he's the number 1 or number 2 rated inside linebacker for rookies. So the talent, the young talent that we have on this team, when you look at our draft picks plus our undrafted free agents, the Broncos have a lot to build on. We just got to get a right coach, and we got to put a little bit more stuff pieces to the puzzle. You're just here to say, rise up, King Jaffe Joe Hunt. Falcons look good today. They've had their struggles, getting Julio Jones in the end zone, but I mean, I think the Falcons are a good football team. Look, there was some speculation, just Falcons bringing up the Shanahans to mind. There was some speculation that maybe even Mike Shanahan might be interested in getting back into coaching. Certainly, I wouldn't be opposed to having Shanahan here in Denver. I think he's a good football coach, knows how to win, has been to a few Super Bowls. He knows for sure how to evaluate young quarterback talent and work with young quarterbacks. So we're going to be looking to do something different for sure, because I don't see any way Vance can keep this job. I just really don't. I want him out of here. He makes too many mistakes. We look unorganized, unprofessional. He looks in way over his head, and at the end of the games, all in his press conference, it's the same old song and dance. We need to get better. We need to block better. We need to catch better. We need to execute better. We need to learn how to finish. That's what he says every single week, and he didn't really want to take that much blame today and saying, hey, I should have punted that ball right before halftime and just played defense. Don't do something dumb in the first half that can take you out of the game in the second half, or give you a chance to lose a game right at the end of the game. And just the mismanagement of the clock and timeouts is enough to drive a Broncos fan just absolutely crazy. I'm not going to put too much on Brandon McManus for missing that kick. Yes, should he make him? He's a pro. Yes, he should make him. But a 62-yard field goal is low probability, and the one he missed, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 55 or 51. That's a long field goal and low probability as well. So, look, kickers are going to miss kicks like that for all the chips at the end of the game, and he's had a really good season so far. But look, we're 5 or 6 plays, 7 plays away collectively throughout the season from having 2 or 3 or even 4 more wins. So, I mean, this is a team that is not a terrible team, but we're definitely not playing very well, and our record reflects it just because of our discipline. Anybody got any questions? I see some typing going through down there. I mean, anybody got any questions you want to know my opinion on? Fire them away real quick, and then we'll end the stream for tonight. I'm glad we've got a bye week next week, because I'm gonna be out pheasant hunting in Nebraska, so it's kind of nice for me just to be able to hunt with my buddies and actually not even have to worry that the Broncos are playing, because usually we work around that. How about Tua? I like Tua. I mean, I think Tua's the most polished quarterback in the draft, Savage, but I don't see how there's any way we get him unless we do a bunch of trading up. What do I think the Chiefs are going to do? I think the Chiefs are going to go deep into the playoffs. I really do. But I think at the end of the year, they're going to get caught against a good running team and a team that can play a little bit of defense. And, when it's just that way, and the Chiefs don't understand that because they haven't been playing late season football. But I think that's what's really going to bite them. And really the Chiefs' chances to win the Super Bowl, like I've said before, in these next 3 years. Otherwise, their team's going to get broken up, because a lot of people are really high on Patrick Mahomes, and he looks really nice. But to me, the key to the whole deal is Kareem Hunt. Without him, I just don't think that offense and Mahomes can do what he's been doing, because he really sets up play action. I mean, again, he put up a lot of points today, just chewing up defenses, and Kareem Hunt's a special player. So, yeah, Seb, I don't know if the Chiefs will ever win a championship or not, but I don't see it happening with this team. I just think that New England's going to be tough at the end of the year. I think Pittsburgh will probably be a factor. Baltimore will be a factor. Houston will be a factor. And if they make it out of all of that, I think they're going to have a tough time in the Super Bowl with either New Orleans, the Rams, whoever emerges from the NFC. To me, you know, I guess right now you could arguably say the best NFL team in the NFL right now is New Orleans. I mean, they look pretty strong. And but I think that the Rams are a pretty strong team. The Chiefs are certainly strong. And I think the Chiefs will be there in the end, but I don't think they're going to be in the Super Bowl, and I don't think they'll win a Super Bowl this year from what I've seen. And that's not me being a hater. It's just me telling the truth, because I don't think they can play good enough defense in January when it's really going to matter. What else? Anybody else got any questions? These last 2 years have been tough, man. I've made a lot of Crow videos, and it's hard to really come out and talk trash. I mean, the Broncos are pretty much they handcuffed me. I mean, because y'all know how much I like to come out and talk trash, but I just can't do it right now. What's my favorite Broncos win ever, and what was the worst loss for me? I think my favorite win ever was the first Super Bowl we won, and the worst loss that we've ever had was, you know, a couple years ago. Well, not a couple years ago. What was it? Maybe 10 years ago, when we had Baltimore beat, and I think it was Raheem Moore mistimed his jump on that safety, and Ravens caught it, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. Because, I mean, if that play doesn't happen, we'd probably go to 3 Super Bowls in that stretch, and who knows, we might have won 2 of the 3. But I think that was the worst loss, because I felt like we dominated the game the whole day, had it in the bag, had it won for sure, and that one really hurt. But been lots of Broncos wins and losses that I can remember over the years. That's certainly the truth. Best game that I've ever seen in person in the stadium. You know, I've been to all of the AFC Championship games, and I think probably the year we won Super Bowl 50 and roughed up Brady, I think we got him on the ground or pressured him or hit him 21 times in that game. That may be the best football game and fan experience that I can ever remember, but it's also the most recent big win that we've had. You know, and we've been thankful. I mean, a lot of AFC Championship games that we've been in have been here. We've hosted them here in Denver, and that's kind of nice. And that just goes to show you how important home field advantage is late in the year. But you think Texas will win with a natty soon? I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry, man. Anyway, congratulations once again. Shout out to the Houston Texans organization, all your fans. Congratulations on scoring DT. And take care of him for us, man, because he's a really good guy. He's good for the community. He's good for the locker room. He's good for leadership and team morale. And if you can keep him focused, he can make some nice plays for you and help you guys get what you want to get towards the end of the year. This is the OG Bronc Nut, 719 West. Thank you to everybody for joining the stream, everybody for who leaves comments on my videos. If you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe, hit the bell, pound the like button, you know, all that kind of stuff. I just appreciate you guys all being here and interested in what I have to say. I'm a true blue, dyed-in-the-wool Broncos fan, and no matter what our record is or how much we're struggling, I'm never leaving this team. So until next week, I'll be back during the bye week with my thoughts on some moves that John Elway has made. And hopefully tomorrow morning we get some good news and Vance is gone and we can talk about that. But until then, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow, suckers.